This is Rafi Guzon, and you are tuned in to Nothing But That Sports Talk. Yeah, not a good outcome for the Los Angeles Chargers. Welcome to this episode of Nothing But That Sports Talk with Freak Lewis on Ryan Walker on hand, and that was a total beatdown in Las Vegas as the Raiders smoked the Los Angeles Chargers about 63-14 bucks.
That was the final score?
Yeah, after not doing nothing against the Minnesota Vikings last Sunday.
Yeah. Chargers, man. Yeah, they had a real interesting year. Justin Hubert is big time. He started off his rookie year so great, good flashes. It looked like the Chargers are going in the right direction. It's not just him, so we're not just pinning it on him, young good quarterback. But the last 2 years they've just been trying to find and they can't get it. 63-14 is really bad.
Correction. And, correction, 63-21. But it was that score around that game.
Wow. That's a little bit more considerable, but they're scared.
And before you continue, let me just read the stats for you. 4 passing touchdowns by this guy named O'Connell.
Mm-hmm.
Devontae Adams had a receiver touchdown with 101 yards. White had about 69 yards with a touchdown. This kid named Sticks, he had 13 touchdowns for the Chargers, which isn't so bad, but that's not going to cut it when you go up against wishy-washy Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, see, that's what you got to remember. O'Connell, as the quarterback down there on the Raiders, is the backup guy, a young journeyman per se, and that just tells you how bad the Chargers defense is. When you give up that amount of points, and that's no disrespect to Adams and stuff like that, but the Raiders, I can't even tell you the last time the Raiders scored 35 to 40 points, let alone to 60 points. No disrespect to Raiders or Raiders Nation. 63 points is a lot of points, and that just means that your defense at pretty much no points was giving up any kind of resistance to the other team. So the Chargers have a lot of things to reconfigure and build with that team. They've been struggling on defense. They struggled on defense last year. It wasn't as bad as this. They had at least a little bit better rushing the quarterback, but 63 points for Feek is a lot of points.
Yeah, clearly a lot of points. I mean, I don't know what to say. Good win for Las Vegas Raiders.
Yes.
They're not out of the playoff spot. They're not out of the last spot in the playoffs just yet, but they have a lot of juggling to these around.
What does that bring their record to?
It brings the record to about 6-8. Not 13 wins. You were right about that. This team was not good enough for the 16 victories. So, yeah.
And the AFC, I knew that wasn't necessarily happening. We busting joking chops, and they're still in it. The AFC is actually AFC is good, and it's balanced now. So it's so funky, like the champs don't look like the champs, but they're still the champs, and they have Patrick Mahomes. So you always have to remember that, especially when it's big time in the postseason. The Raiders are coming back in that postseason hunt. Baltimore looks really, really good. Lamar Jackson. Leading that team, I believe the number 1 team now in the AFC. The Miami Dolphins had a really horrific loss a few days ago, but on Sunday night, I think that was Monday Night Football.
Monday Night Football.
They
blew a 14-point lead in 3 minutes against the Tennessee Titans.
It's just horrendous. I mean, Will Levis is really good. That kid, good quarterback.
That's the AFC mind. Only the Baltimore Ravens, who had a crazy overtime victory against Los Angeles Rams.
Yeah, so the AFC is, there's a lot of teams out there that are playing well, and that's another reason why I knew it was going to be difficult for them to attribute 13-4 because the AFC is really good. You're playing good teams. Look, Denver was 1-5 at one point. They're 7-6. They're climbing back in the hunt. There's a lot of teams that are fighting and back in the hunt. So the last few weeks on both sides, NFC side, as we see as well, will be very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yep, very interesting indeed. You want to know what else is interesting? The same Zach Wilson that we said sucks They
Oh,
put up
stop
a
it.
dirty ball against the Houston Texans. And we thought CJ Stroud was on the rise. But you were held to 6 points against the New York Jets. Seriously.
You know, that was.
Listen, what are your thoughts about the way Zach Wilson balled out against the Houston Texans?
Well, first of all, listen, I give credit when credit is due. I actually watched the game because I believe the Giants played Monday Night Football.
And the Giants won, but we'll get to that in a minute. But
right, and the Jets played Sunday, right? That was Sunday.
The Jets played Sunday at 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock, and I was home. I was actually home and fortunate enough to be able to watch the game. And when I was watching the game now, sitting down and I was relaxed, the first half I was just like, wow, both teams just, of course can't score. Sometimes the Texans do play like that, where they'll start clicking. We still have to remember CJ Stroud is good, but is a young quarterback. The Texans are way better, still in the playoff hunt, but they were really bad last year. They've been really bad a couple of years. So, now they're getting a groove back. God bless CJ Stroud. And the second half, the Jets offensively they were phenomenal. Zach looked like what we thought he should have been. Correct? He had that big year for BYU during the COVID year. No disrespect, but that was the time. And the numbers and what he looked like eye test in college don't attribute to what they're getting so far in the NFL. Now, granted, it takes time for everybody, but he's had his opportunities. Of course, now, Rodgers is there. Rodgers is hurt. That's why he's in there. The second Rodgers gets hurt, we know Zach Wilson will not be the quarterback anymore. And yet and still, that's what he's supposed to be looking like a little bit of a long time ago, so that they wouldn't even have to worry about having a decision about getting Aaron Rodgers, because remember, they drafted this guy as a high pick. I think they made a few deals and trades to get up in position to get this guy. And, shout out, he played well last week against a Texans team that is better than the Jets. So the Jets had, no business winning that football game, but they did, and that's all that matters. That still, I guess, keeps them some kind of mathematically in the hunt. I think both New York teams, even though they're mathematically in the hunt, I told you they're big stretches to get in. Giants is a big one this week against the Saints, so we'll see. That'll be the only way I'll start saying, hey, yeah, maybe they could do it. But it's still big stretches. And the Jets played well last week, and you can't take it away from them. And they got another game this week. If they can score points like that, they can always have a chance to win because their defense is pretty good.
And that's besides the point. I mean, this is why. Well, every time we call out the New York Jets, they always seem to pull a rabbit out their hat and somehow go on big wins like this. Zach Wilson did what he was supposed to be doing all season long in this 3-game homestand before he got bent. Well, he was supposed to be doing all season long before he got benched for 2 games, and then not do nothing. And then the second string quarterback behind Zach Wilson did not do anything against the Miami Dolphins or the Atlanta Falcons. And you come back and pull off a performance like this.
No, that was big time. They did. They played well in the second half. They gave their fan base something to be good about. I like it. The fans were pumped. The New York fans and the fan base, the Jets fan base was pumped. It was a good game for them. So I'm never going to be a hater. They played well. He played well in that second half. He still sucks. Okay? I'm not letting 30 minutes of football blind me from what I've seen in the large perspective with him. So he still's got a lot to work on to completely turn this brain. But it's not even going to matter because he more than likely, unless he's just absolutely egregious in the next 2 games, when they decide to, and they don't have anybody else to look at, he's going to finish out the rest of the season. because he's healthy, and it's not going to matter because next year when Aaron Rodgers is healthy, who's going to be the quarterback?
Aaron Rodgers.
That's it.
That's a fact. But the Jets, well, they're a half game behind the Raiders because the Raiders won tonight, and they're a couple games behind like 5 different teams. They're 7-6. The time with you got like you got the Texans, the Colts, the Steelers, the Broncos, Bengals, and the Bills all have 7-6 records. Anybody can get final playoff spot or found 2 playoff spots rather because it's extended to 7.
Yes.
But which means any one of those teams could falter and the Jets can get in. Now I don't want to. Now I have to give false hope to the Jets fans. I have to this one and the Las Vegas Raiders as well, because when you want to reach a playoff spot, why not try to go after it as opposed to tanking for Khalil Williams, especially since you're not going to get him anyway. The Patriots already got the nod for the second worst record in the NFL and they're the first team. Well, one of the first teams because the Carolina Panthers, they're out of playoff contention as well.
Yeah. Do the Carolina Panthers have to give up their pick or no? They're the they're going to be the number 1 pick. They only have 1 win.
Yeah, but they have to give up the pick to the Chicago Bears, unfortunately.
Well, listen, it's going to be interesting.
Another year. Assuming that Bryce Young develops his game a lot during the off season, I mean, once the season goes to an end, assuming that Bryce Young develops his offensive game, the Panthers are going to be bad for a while.
Correct.
That's all I can say about that. Now, getting to the New York Giants, big win last week against the Green Bay Packers. They knock a 3-game winning streak. And we said that they should tank for Khalil Williams because Dale Jones, even if he were to play the whole season, when he's not getting hurt, he's not that good. And we had no faith in Tommy DeVito. Tommy DeVito is 3-1 to start his NFL career. As your narrative about this guy, Tommy DeVito, changed a lot from not doing anything against the New York Jets to the 3 wins you had against the Washington Commanders, the Patriots, and the playoff-minded Green Bay Packers.
Well, I never had an issue with DeVito. I was upset that I don't think that he nor the staff. Listen, the Giants are playing better now, but they've had a tough year, to say the least, right? And I think there's some times where not only the players, but even the staff let themselves down. And my point was to say that Daniel Jones was your starting quarterback. He signed a $160 million contract, only $82 million guaranteed the first 2. He's your starting quarterback. Boom, he has his struggles. Boom, he gets hurt. Now you have Tyrod Taylor, who's a journeyman and a smart, crafty backup quarterback, right? Tyrod Taylor can play. He's smart. He can make plays in roles and read. But what's Tyrod Taylor's Achilles heel? He gets injured. He gets hurt. Sometimes he gets hurt. He does. And with you knowing that, if DeVito is the backup and he's the 3rd string guy, he's got to start taking reps with the 1st string and the 2nd string guys to know the plays more, to feel everybody's camp, because anything can happen. You always got to, and in the NFL, you always got to have your guys prepared. How many first-year quarterbacks are doing well in the league now? A lot. You know what I'm saying? How many second-year guys are doing well early? So the guy, Will Levy's, that's a young quarterback. You know what I mean? With the Chargers, we're talking about the Chargers. The Chargers having struggles. Herbert the stud. That's a young quarterback. Joe Burrow's a young quarterback. Believe it or not, Patrick Mahomes, he just won a lot. That's still a young quarterback. Lamar Jackson, young. A lot of these guys are young. We just talked about Bryce Young having his struggles. Young quarterback. The fact that they didn't have him prepared had me upset, because now that Jets game, they gave away. If they don't make the postseason by inches, I'm telling you, you circle these two games, the Jets game and the Buffalo Bills game. The Jets game, as low scoring and anemic as both teams were offensively, you have to win that game when you're up 10-7 with 40 something, whatever seconds on the clock against a team that's not great offensively. You got to find a way to get those 3 stops. They didn't do it that day. Boom, they put the Buffalo Bills game. I think there was a pass interference at the end of the game. It didn't get called. We had one called before. But those are key games that they were in, and Tyrod Taylor made a bad decision at the end of the first half in that game on 4th and 1 from audibling out of a pass to a run, and we didn't have any more timeouts. The rest is history. So that was my biggest thing. But guess what? The kid is playing very decent football. He can make the throws. He's a great story. He's a Jersey kid, a metropolitan kid. He won a high school title at Bosco Prep, in Jersey.
In MetLife Stadium, by the way.
Yes, in MetLife Stadium. He's got the great story. His family there. They got the guy, the lawyer there. It's a good story. It's good for the back page, especially the way the Giants started off their season. The guys believe, they like him, and they got a good thing going. They play the Saints this week. This is if they can get this win this week, this is when I'll say, Rafiq, they might have a chance. But a lot of other teams need to lose too. Some of them will, because everybody's matched up and it's so crazy. But there are a lot of other scenarios to go. So I just want them to just play better, get better on week by week. Their defense has played all year, excluding the 2 games against the Cowboys, which were just blips, And there's one other game where they gave up a lot of yards per se. They've been solid on defense. They've made plays. They made a lot of plays last week. We'll see what happens. And then here's another thing too. The Packers have played better football. And Jordan Love, I told you, was going to have his up and downs, but Jordan Love is a good kid. I told guys he would be a good quarterback too. And they were playing better, but we also have to remember, same thing like with the Giants too. The Packers are not as good as what that streak made it seem. They're still a young team gelling. So we were just really fortunate to get them and get a good win because we have a good thing going as well too. Like in all sports, all streaks come to an end. We were just fortunate enough to keep it rolling there too. But we got a tough stretch. We got the Saints, we got the Eagles, we got the Rams, and then we got the Eagles again. And we won't have any kind of chance until we beat the Saints. If we can beat the Saints first, we have to find a way to miraculously beat the Eagles. We haven't beat them in years. So beating the Saints is first because we'll have an uphill battle of beating Philly. Philly's not playing great football neither, but they're still talented, but they're not playing great football. So we'll see. And the Rams are going to be hungry too because they're fighting for postseason slot. They're all in that bunch. They're ahead of us too, I know as well. So all these games are key and will count. But DeVito's a good story for New York and the papers and everything in general. And I hope they give the kid a chance. They still should draft. They still need to draft a quarterback. Period.
I mean, I guess they can draft a quarterback, but the way Tommy DeVito's been playing and the fact that he's carrying the Giants to at least a chance at making the playoffs, just to give us some kind of relevancy going into the Christmas Day matchup against the Eagles. I mean, of course, you got the Saints to deal with before then, but you got to give credit where credit's due to Tommy DeVito.
No, keep him and let him fight for the spot. Still draft a quarterback. Look at it like this.
What are you gonna do? But look at the top quarterbacks available in the NFL draft. You got this kid Drake from North Carolina, and you got Khalid Williams. Those guys might be before the Jets get to select.
Listen. There are a lot of good football players in college. It's up to scouting and recruiting to find one there. Those are the big name quarterbacks they're talking about. There are a lot of other quarterbacks that are playing fine too that will be out there in the draft and available. It's up to you. Was Patrick Mahomes the third or fourth pick?
Nope. Tom
Was
Brady
Tom Brady?
Tom
Was
Brady
Tom?
was
You know what I'm saying? So it's up to finding the right guys. You know, Bryce Purdy, was he the number one pick?
nope.
So, you know, there's a lot of there's football players out there, and this is what I'm saying. I'm saying this as a Giants fan who actually cares. DeVito is a great story, and he's playing good football, and I still want him to be here. But they still need to draft a quarterback. You just have to, because just in case, what if? Because here goes the scenario. Daniel Jones is owed $82 million, $40 million this year, right? They have to give another $40 million next year. So he's a Giant next year. Whether they play him or not, that's a whole different story. Whether they trade him, whoever, but whether he's there or not, they have to pay him $82 million. Let's suppose Daniel Jones is there next year and DeVito. Draft a quarterback anyway. You know why? Because I want to tell Daniel Jones, this ain't completely your team. You gotta earn the quarterback slot. DeVito, even if DeVito loses all the rest of his games, he's put up a better eye test on how he guides and plays with the team than you have. So by right, if he plays better than you in camp, even though you're making $40 million, because DJ has not proven himself enough yet. He had one good year, the contract year. He hasn't earned the right to say, yeah, we definitely got to pay you for the money, because $40 million is tough to bench. And that's another reason why I think about what they got to do with Daniel Jones. Because if DeVito wins the slot and they're not going to play Daniel Jones, they got to trade him. You can't have $40 million that you're paying and the guy not doing nothing. He looks really good. You know what? Matter of fact, give me the job. I'll call all the plays you want. I'll call all the plays you want for $40 million. So they're gonna have to figure something out with that, and that's why I still draft the kid, because there might be somebody that's really talented in the college draft, and if he ends up playing, bro, think about it like this: the New England Patriots, they drafted Mac Jones, right? They also drafted Zappy. If Mac Jones wasn't not playing right, they got Zappy in playing. A couple years ago, Brett Favre was there. The Packers still drafted Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers didn't win. They got Jordan Love. Jordan Love ain't just start playing. Jordan Love been there for like 3 years. So just because you draft a quarterback doesn't mean they could draft a quarterback and the kid probably don't. Let's suppose DeVito is the next quarterback, and DeVito played good 2 years. The kid could be playing behind him and watching DeVito and learning and getting better. And then when it's his time, he play whatever. But they still need to draft a quarterback. If they don't, and they miss out on somebody, they're gonna regret it again. And then remember, it's hard to if you start getting good, it's gonna be hard to get a top 10 quarterback. This is their opportunity. They got to dial it in. I don't care if DeVito win the next 4 games.
That's a very interesting point. And you know what? There's no guarantee that even the Giants do win the rest of their games. Because you got to get past the Rams and the Packers and the Seahawks and the Falcons. If you beat the Saints, you own the tiebreak over them. You already got the tiebreak over the Packers. The Minnesota Vikings had a 3-0 victory over the Las Vegas Raiders, who put up 63 on the Los Angeles Chargers.
Yeah.
So yeah, as far as
remember, the Vikings are actually still fighting for their division. They have 2 games against the Lions, and they're 2 games back.
Oh yeah, and Detroit got smoked in Chicago.
And they got 2 games against the Vikings. I picked the Lions to win that division, but they haven't been playing good football the last few weeks. They better be careful.
Yeah, but the Lions can mess around and win both games against the Vikings. And
They can also mess around and get swept.
Yeah, think about. And let's not forget that two of the teams that were chasing for the final playoff spot, they had to face the Carolina Panthers.
Oh my goodness!
I believe the Packers have a game against the Panthers.
They're gonna run the bill up.
The Atlanta Falcons had to play the Panthers not too long from now. So
yeah, they're gonna run the bill up on that one.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough for the Giants to make the playoffs. But you know what? That win against the Green Bay Packers gave us hope.
Yeah, it's good quality win. It's good that they're playing better.
The same Brady Bullock that missed the game-winning field goal against the Giants when he was with Tennessee didn't make that field goal. I would have probably rant about that play where Saquon Barkley fumbled while falling face first in the middle of a rushing attack.
Man, you know what? Thank God everything worked out, and I can never get mad at Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley, even after coming back from injury, has played tough, has not complained. Had games with many carries, many yards. He did well that game, but boy, I seen bad things happening from the minute he made the move, and after he made the move, he kind of stumbled a little bit. I was like, oh Lord, and now I'm saying, wait,
he was never touched.
Let me tell you something, Rafik. I ain't even tooting my own horn. I am the best, and look, I actually need glasses. I am the best blind sports TV ref watcher in the history of life. Every time I promise you, if you ever watch a football game with me, you know those close little calls where a guy catches it and it was 2 feet, and they're like, oh, I don't know. I'll tell you when it's a catch. I'll tell you in a second. I'll look at it in one play, bing. I said, oh, snap, he caught that ball. Or I'll tell you, like, oh, no, he didn't catch it. And I'm telling you, even my son, he said today, he said, yo, bro, you always be right. And I said, yo, I see it. I be seeing it right away. The 4th inches, I see it. When he dropped to the floor and the ball came out, I said, oh, no, he fumbled the ball.
I mean, at least
he fumbled the ball.
But if it wasn't for the game-winning field goal, that would have been one of the reasons why we lost.
Yes. When Bullock took the first field goal, I knew he was going to miss it. I knew it. When he took the last one, I said, no. They lined him up. I said, no, he's going to make this for the game winner. They're going to be fine. I seen that one. But there's a lot of times, all the little close catches, all the time, I said, I see it right away. I'm like, damn, touchdown. Yeah. Sometimes you just got to just call it like how you see it. And they were fortunate to get a good win against the Packers. They have a big game this week against the Saints. They can actually win. So, but the Saints are fighting for postseason as well, too.
Yeah. I mean, the quarterback position is not that great, and the NFC South is trash, but we got a chance.
We have a chance. So we'll see what happens. And, shout out to the Jets and Giants for being victorious on both weeks. Did the Bills win?
Yeah, the Buffalo Bills.
The Bills did win.
The Buffalo Bills won against the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yes.
But to the conversation earlier this week, before you came on, I had this lady named Carmen Holland from coming on the show earlier this week. She has her own podcast called Hoops with Carmen. I had her on the show earlier this week, and this is what she had to say about the type of offense that. I mean, you notice that the Philadelphia Eagles had to come from behind to win games this week.
Yeah.
And she kind of gives an idea of why you should not be too dependent on comeback victories in this clip right here.
I just think the Eagles can be a great team, but it's just like coming from behind is not the way to win games. You need to be attacking and executing from the beginning. Running the ball, I think, is great. And I think the Eagles can run the ball well. But it's like you got to change up your schemes, your patterns, because teams are knowing. It's really like first play run, second play throw, third play possible QB sneak, like I said, or QB run. Like, this is stuff that I can see. Everyone else can see it. Change it up. Like, what is going to be done to like kind of make the Eagles the best they can be at this moment? I don't know. It just sucks because
yeah, it's very tough to watch. The same Eagles that were the Super Bowl last year barely lose it to the Kansas City Chiefs, and you beat the Kansas City Chiefs in Monday Night Football, and then not too long before that, you struggled to beat the Washington Commanders, and the Commanders are almost as bad as the New York Giants. And then earlier this year, you took an L to the New York Jets, the one franchise that the Eagles have owned in life after Jalen Hurts threw an interception. The Eagles, I mean, I know they're good, but when you look at the losses they've had and the games where they have to come back and win, they tend to be wishy-washy. And that's going to be a little bit concerned by the time the playoffs come around. Especially this next Monday, you got the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, look, even with that the game against Kansas City, if Scantling would have made that catch, I don't think.
What are your overall thoughts on Carmen's comments about the Eagles this season?
I mean, it's pretty. She's pretty astute. I think I don't disagree with anything she's saying. The Eagles secondary is not good. They're struggling. They're bad in the secondary. They're great with their front seven. They got 8 or 9. The defensive ends and defensive tackles, they got 8 or 9 guys. They keep floating out. So this is why they can always get pressure on the quarterback, and their linebackers are smart, can cover it, make hits and tackles, and can cover as well too. Their cornerbacks and safeties, they're having a tough time out there. And even though their record is still what it is, like you said, and like she said, they've had many games this year where they've had to come back from behind. Some not even to really good teams. Or they won in very non-convincing fashion. Now, a win is a win. Boy, I would love to be 10-3. But for them trying to be the team that lost in the Super Bowl and trying to prove to America and tell America that they feel like they really should have won and they're going to be here to win it back again, that's not the way to go back at it. And it's interesting how the two Super Bowl teams, as still good as they are, and they're going to go to the postseason, are not playing as good as they were, I guess, the following year or their championship years or whatever per se, but they're still decently good. The Eagles do struggle with things like that. They've had too many games like that. They got to figure out to be that team dominant. Like somebody said that too. He goes, "Oh, the was like, oh, the Eagles not as good as they were last year." Well, I said, well, they're still 10-3. I mean, they were 13-3 last year. If they win their next 3 games, they'll have the same record they had the end of last season. Even if they don't, and they go if they go 12-4, that's one less loss than they had in the regular season. Our biggest eye test with the Eagles anyway, we're going to be judging them for the postseason. Their goal is to get back to the Super Bowl, right? So until that does or does not happen, we can't really put a barometer to judge that this season is better than that season because they're still in the process. They pulled off streaks last year where they won a few games. They ran into a blip these last 2 weeks. Do I think eye test they're as good as they were last year? No, but still record-wise and everything on pace-wise, they still are. They have the schedule kind of gives them an opportunity. I think they have a decently tough one this week too, though. But they have us twice. If they play the way they're supposed to play, that's 2 wins. So they got to figure it out, but something is not going right there. I agree for sure for what she's saying. And if they don't figure it out, they might be able to get past the Lions or even, of course, the Vikings. And they can beat anybody in the NFC South in the playoffs. And pretty much I think, but they better be careful because, of course, the Niners have it out for them. Hopefully the Eagles are playing possum because if they're not, it's going to be interesting for them in the postseason. Same thing with Kansas City.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting, especially since they did lose to the Dallas Cowboys and transition into that game. Like after the Cowboys wrecked the Eagles, do you believe in a Super Bowl run for the Dallas Cowboys this season?
But you know what? Here's the realism of it. And I heard this from a Eagles fan the other day. Oh my God, Sean, I'll probably see him tonight as a driver, small football guy. He said to me a couple weeks back, he said, best around, he's like, yo, the Cowboys, watch out, they could be all right. He said, listen, Dak's still playing. Their running game didn't have the strides that they didn't think they would get everything from Pollard they were supposed to get, but it's starting to be a little serviceable now. He's not turning the ball over because in that new offense with the West Coast thing where they put him in situations to be. If it don't look right, they tell him throw it away, which they should. They have a good defense. Bland, most picks in the season, playing phenomenal. You got Micah Parsons. They got guys that can rush the quarterback. They can play. The biggest thing though now is that they have the attributes to make a run, and they still have a mathematical chance to be a number 1 seed. But this is the Cowboys, and we just waiting for that one moment for them to fall on their face. and I mean, they have a good chance to make a run this year. I still don't see them winning or getting to the Super Bowl, but I could see them getting to the NFC Championship game without a shadow of a doubt.
Exact same thing. Because look at what top possible opponents they have right in front of them. The teams they're going to be in the same pool with. The Detroit Lions, Minnesota Vikings. Anybody coming out the NFC South, even if they were to fall to the 5th seed, they can beat them on the road. They're coming off a playoff win last week against the Tom Brady-led Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So the only thing the Cowboys need to avoid is the San Francisco 49ers. That team we know they can't beat. They lost them in the playoffs 2 years in a row.
Yeah. And you said Tom Brady, no, Baker Mayfield's down there for Tampa Bay.
I know, but I'm talking about last year's postseason.
Yes. This the Cowboys can beat anybody in the NFC except for the Eagles and the Niners. If they have home field advantage against the Eagles, they take them out
without question.
No, yes and no. Hold on now because let's suppose the Eagles are playing bad football now. Let's suppose the Eagles get back into gear and playing football again. We're going to have to say that even though the Niners did beat them, and the Niners have probably the most solid team in football, right? We're still going to have to give respect and love to the fact that they're the NFC champions. Mm-hmm. They've been in that pot before, and this is a championship organization over the last few years. So what I'm saying is that if they get their mojo back, then you have to know that Philadelphia is a huge threat in the NFC. And if Philadelphia is playing the way we think they should play, we both know the Eagles are better than the Cowboys. When they play,
I can't argue with you on that one.
When they play the way they're supposed to play. Now, if they do what the hell they just did a couple days ago, don't nobody know who the Philadelphia Eagles is. Listen, I wish they keep playing like that, because if the Giants can mess around and beat the Saints, a lot of ifs, and the Eagles continue like that, we might be able to sneak around and beat them. And we haven't beat them in like 6-7 years. So they need to figure out who they are and get back on tilt. And once they do that, then they're, of course, their threat. So the Eagles like that can beat the Cowboys. The Eagles like a couple of days ago, they're in trouble, even home or road, if they play the Cowboys like that. So, of course, the Cowboys have a chance to beat. The Cowboys can beat the Lions in the playoffs. The Cowboys can beat the Vikings in the playoffs. The Cowboys can beat whoever comes out the NFC South in the playoffs. They know that. They know that without a doubt. Now, if they did lose to one of those teams, they'll just make this show great, because that's unexcusable. If they don't lose to the Niners or the Eagles, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, that's a very interesting fact. And I'm just making my prediction based on what I'm seeing right now. Not because of I've learned my lesson from delusional, disgusting, nauseating Cowboy fans not to get overhyped over the way the Cowboys are playing right now. Because for the Eagles and the Seahawks, you were beating up on last place teams and teams with losing records, with the exception of the Cardinals. The
Lord.
next 3 weeks, you got go at Buffalo, at Miami, you got a home game against the Detroit Lions before finishing off against the Washington Commanders. That will determine whether or not if you can win 3 or 4 of those last 4 games, you're gonna get the number 1 seed in the NFC. You get a bye in the first week, and then we're gonna be talking about a possible run to the Super Bowl, or at least the NFC Championship game. This is the year the Cowboys at least make it to the NFC title game. And if they don't, I'm gonna bring Ashley Baker back and laugh at her face. And laugh at all the disgusting, noisy Cowboy fans that thought that this would be the year they get it done. Because you cannot accumulate all these victories and then still fall flat on your face when the postseason comes around. You just can't do that.
Rafi, have you been drinking a Budweiser before the show? Are you crazy? Brother, listen to me. Why they can't do it? They've done it before.
And I realized that.
This is not the first time.
It's got to win against the Cowboys on the interception by Ardonia McQuarters. The
Let me ask you something.
Those Cowboys are in the playoffs. The 49ers have got to win against the Dallas Cowboys. I know what I saw.
Yeah. How many wins did the Cowboys have last year?
The Cowboys had about like 9 or 10 wins. They beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So they won 4 playoff games since 2000. I understand that. 4 playoff games.
Listen, anybody in this stratosphere, as good as they are, and I just told you there's only 2 other teams that on their days can beat them, of course. You know the Niners, without a shadow of a doubt. The Niners own the Cowboys, and they're definitely more. The Niners are the most complete team in the NFL. The Eagles, when playing right, are better than the Cowboys, so they will beat the Cowboys. But when the Eagles are not right, the Cowboys have a chance. With that being said, if you or anybody in the world still bets all right out that the Cowboys are a guaranteed lock to be in the NFC Championship game, you're going to be sweating all postseason, even if they get the number 1 seed, because the Cowboys are the greatest prototypical team to get the number 1 seed and lose the next game. So, with that organization, they just need to go 1 game at a time. And once they go 1 game at a time, as good as talented they are, they'll see the next couple of weeks will shake out to see how everything really looks. They do have the talent on paper to do so. But when it's the Cowboys and it's the postseason, Stephen A. Smith will tell you, there's nothing that's guaranteed.
Yeah, you're right. There's nothing that's guaranteed. And every time the Cowboys end up losing in the postseason, you're going to see something like this. You'll be seeing stuff like this at the end of the postseason if the Cowboys don't win it all. Look at the upset Cowboy fans. Look at how upset you got. This is what happens when the Cowboys lose. You'll get upset fans like this. You'll get Marcus Spears get upset. Look at these upset Cowboy fans. Look at that guy crying over there. Look at that young lady right there. She said, y'all ain't worth a damn. Look at the guy praying. He's praying for success. It's never going to happen.
Unbelievable. Let me tell you something. What
are you thinking about? I mean, I know you educated me on Cowboy fans before. Did you see that video when it came out back in 2022? What is that you thinking about?
Let me tell you something. And this is a true story. and I'm gonna be as candid and clean with it as possible. There's nothing bad with it per se. In 2008, 2008, that year, when the Giants won that Super Bowl, right, the first one with the Tom Brady catch.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the David Tyree, Eli Manning catch. Excuse me. That year, I was working in the city with the shipping company for Anna Sweet, but I had a secondary job working at the bingo hall. And I used to work for this bingo hall in Nevins and Skimmerhorn before, the whole downtown Brooklyn apparatus change with the whole project of the stadium, gentrification, yada. So I'm working at this bingo hall now, and the bingo halls, the ladies come to play bingo. Bingo's highly competitive. It's good money games, yeah. So we all there all year. I've been working there for a while. We all talk sports. So long story short, one of the customers that used to come in was this white lady. She was a huge Cowboys fan. She looked like one of them people in the stands. Huge Cowboys fan, but she was actually from Dallas, Texas. And I get it. She moved to New York. I forgot why she had to move to New York, like her kids or something. What's up here? I don't know, something like that. But she was one of them white racist Dallas Cowboy fans, kind of too. Just a white racist lady anyway, and just happened to be a Dallas Cowboy fan. And she didn't say any racial stuff to me, but you could just tell in her persona, her mantra, and how she used to view things. So me and her used to always go back and forth because I'm a Giants fan. And we always like, I hate the Giants. It sucks. She used to always just go back and forth. So I never forget that year, one of the first years I was working there. And this is when the Giants was having their struggles with Eli, but Eli was starting to show little progressions and other stuff too. And that year we won the Super Bowl, but we're going to rewind. We played the Dallas Cowboys in the NFC division game.
Okay, the game where RW recorders had to picked off Tony Romo.
Correct. We were heavy underdogs, and we went into Dallas Stadium. Jerry Jones bought all the players tickets for the next game for the NFC Championship, already guaranteeing that they were going to beat the Giants. The Giants played with a chip on their shoulder, and they went down there, and Amani Toomer had the first touchdown, and like you said, Romo tried to make a play to the back of the end zone. I forgot who was the tight end at that time. Well, a stud tight end, RW reporters came underneath the package, and made an interception, and that drove us to the Super Bowl, and they were guaranteed to go that year. And that lady is a Cowboy fan. I never, ever, ever, ever let her not hear the end of it. Every time she see me the next week, that was even greater. Well, first of all, she didn't come to the bingo hall for days. And then when I did see her, I said, yeah. How about them Cowboys, huh? Home now. See, you was talking all that. You're going to have to eat that. Oh, it's so. I said, if we suck and we beat you, then that says a lot about you because you suck too. That's how about that. So she was dying. But the whole week, you're going to lose to Green Bay. It's guaranteed. Roger's going to send you home. Boom, send Green Bay home. One of the coldest playoff games in history. Super Bowl comes. Doesn't matter. You're guaranteed. No way you're gonna win. 18-0. Tom Brady can boom, beat them. She couldn't. Man, she couldn't talk no football for months. Months, and then the next year, the Giants were dominant. They were 10-1. And they went to 11-1. Then the incident happened with Plaxico Burress, and then that changed the whole complexion of the team. Because I could tell you this, I guarantee on everything, if that situation don't happen with Plaxico, the Giants are going back to back. They had the best team in football. They were good on every part of the team, and they just won the Super Bowl, so they already knew how to win. But that whole incident happened and the team went left. But nevertheless, she couldn't talk football to me for the whole 2 years. I made sure I shut her down every time to say, you lost to the sorry Giants. Don't tell me nothing. They're some of the most, they're just the most arrogant entitled. I don't know why they still feel entitled, but arrogant, entitled fan base of football I've ever seen in my life. They're absolutely euphoric on reality. And you see, one of the years where they're going under the radar is when they have a chance for them to actually make a run to do what they do. Hopefully they don't fall on their face. But just the entitlement to them, and you watch so many other teams win over the years, you be like, you guys need to slow down a little bit and lead to stop. But that she was one of them. There was another really Cowboys fan. I forgot what it was. We got to run out, man. I never let. Oh no, me and my good friend John. This was a great night. Me and my friend John was a big Cowboys fan. My best friend to this day, love him like cook food. And my guy Banks. We were all watching the Giants game in his house, and I never forget this year. This was the year like Brandon Jacobs or somebody was on the team, and Strahan made a big play. This wasn't even the Justin. I don't know if this was that Justin Tuck year, but whatever it was, on national TV, the Giants put a beating on the Cowboys, and we all watched the game together. Boy, that night, when I tell you, we gave him a verbal onslaught, and he couldn't say anything. It was sweet kitchen. So listen, it's all fun and games. They still have a good football team, but you know how the Cowboys is. You got to just be very careful about the anticipation for them.
Notice I barely talk about the Cowboys except when it's necessary. The last 3 years, after you told me and Aya don't talk about the Cowboys when the year they lost to the 49ers in 2021, you noticed. And you, oh man.
The Niners own them, man. It's crazy.
Only time will tell. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, earlier this week, I had a chance to go to the Brooklyn Showcase, the NABC Brooklyn Showcase to be exact, to watch this team pull off a crazy victory over North Texas, courtesy of Abdul Sabila.
Yeah, he's good.
Buzzer. That was one of the most craziest games I've ever seen from the Fordham Rams in the ball of Brooklyn. Even crazier than their win against Lysala in the A-10 tournament last year. But this was one of the best wins I've ever seen for Fordham University for what I do follow Fordham extensively. And yeah, the crowd wasn't anything crazy. I mean, it was good to see Gigi Spear over there. I mean, she was there to watch. And yeah, you're probably not going to see me at the game at the Garden against St. John's, but I digress. But nonetheless, the atmosphere is great. Yeah, well, the fan atmosphere wasn't really top tier, but when they did get loud at the end. And when they were down 12, me and Gigi were talking about how egregious they were playing, and they were playing like a high school team. But then at the end of the second half, when Abdul get that buzzer being dunk, Gigi was like, you can't write a better story than this. You can't write a better story than that. If you see the highlights, or at the very least you know about the game somehow, what are your thoughts?
No, remember I got two of the guys that work at Crunch Time did media that day. They did the camera and the recording. And
there?
Right. So I actually seen the actual footage of the dunk game. You're gonna see the guy posted and everything soon. I like Fordham. I like Fordham. I do. I'm all right with Fordham. I'm all right. I'm all right in the Bronx. I have no problem with Fordham. You know, it's so crazy. Like I told my guy, there's another crazy stat that I'm a Duke fan.
The grad program there, trust me.
I'm all right with Fordham. Smart kids, good basketball program, solid lacrosse program. Man, Mike Breen, Bang. They got
public radio. I've had Bob on the show a few years ago. Don't forget about that. And we talked about how educated you were when you learned from this man.
No, this is Fordham. This is Rams Nation, and great place. We've always been there for years when the Catholic League Championship games were there, and of course when they play their games now, they're of course the college team. Fordham to me has always had a respectable basketball program. What it is, they're in the Atlantic 10. The Atlantic 10. When I was coming up as a young boy, the Atlantic 10 was a tough conference. They used to get about 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 teams sometimes coming out of the conference. That has kind of changed. Atlantic 10 probably will get 3, maybe 4 teams in a tournament. So you have to do well in your conference tournament and show good at bid, have a good strength schedule. A lot of things got going to it. That still was a quality win for Fordham. They're going in the right direction. They got a lot of metropolitan. That kid Alina, they got a lot of good guys on that team. And another stat that I was thinking about, New York, man, we're selfish here. We're the only city and region, we got a team in every borough. Division I too. Like you got St. John's for Queens. If you're in Brooklyn, you got St. Francis Prep, you got LIU, right? Long Island, you have Hofstra. For Nassau, you got Stony Brook for Suffolk, D1. In the Bronx, you have Fordham.
And Manhattan College.
And Manhattan, who's D1. And Manhattan is also an affiliate with the campus on Manhattan. So it's Bronx and Manhattan ties, and then St. John's from Queens, but they play in Manhattan. Columbia for Manhattan, right? D1. And College of Staten Island, are they Division I? No,
I think they're Division
II. They're Division II. But Staten Island has an elite basketball program per se. So every borough or region has a really good top team. And no, I'm happy when they tell me, hey, St. John's won, Fordham just won Hofstra. I'm happy. I want these guys to win. They from New York. Hofstra, Fordham, I got no problem with them. And big fella looking like he got a little NBA maybe in his future with him. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And I spoke to the players after the game, and if you watch the post-game reaction, they talked about how they're finally getting back to playing for the basketball after the egregious first half. And then, well, they just learned to get the chemistry together. And I spoke to Abdul after the game and asking him, what will this game do for his career going forward? And he said the game was, it was kind of like, he thought it was so surreal he would get that dunk. And if you haven't watched the clips already, just watch it because you'll get an idea what the players are saying after the game. Trust me. He talked about how incredible it was to be in the moment.
That's big time.
Seriously. I mean, that not be the Fordham net team that we saw last year that made to the semifinals of the Atlantic 10 tournament, but you got to give the props, especially since they're going to be playing against St. John's at the Garden this week. And I spoke to the coach about it after the game, and he was talking about how ecstatic it is to be coaching against one of the greatest college basketball coaches of all time. And it's a dream come the same way it's a dream come true to play at the Barclays. It's a dream come true to be coaching and for his players to be playing at the Garden.
And don't remember I told.
And I saw a clip on Twitter where there were about 49 years ago, Fordham managed to get an upset victory against USC at the Hoops Festival, the same Hoops Festival that we're about to see this week. So yeah, I'll be watching it. Unfortunately, I might not be at the game as a media at least, but I'll make sure to get locked in. And when you come back on the show next week, we can get a perspective on it. And if you're not too busy, make sure you check it out.
Well, yeah, you know what? I like St. John's, what they're doing. I like Patino, what he's doing. He's going to, change the program, have more of his.
Even though they lost against Boston College, but yeah, the same showcase.
St. John's has also lost to Pace. Pace is Division II school earlier in the year.
Ooh, yeah.
Fordham can win this game. Remember, I told you this. St. John's. St. John's will be the favorite. I
Joel
don't think by a
Sereno,
lot.
and Joel Sereno used to play for Fordham before he came.
Joel Soriano.
Before he came to St. John's as a transfer.
Correct. Joel Soriano, Bronx kid, 100%. Fordham can win this game, so they better be careful. St. John's is still trying to figure themselves out too. They've had some interesting wins, some interesting losses. I believe they lost to North Texas. I believe they lost to a couple other teams there, but they've had some quality wins too so far. Well, not quality, but decent wins.
At the Garden.
At the Garden, we're going to see. But Fordham has the capability and they have enough talent on that team to beat St. John's. I know this without a shadow of a doubt. It's just going to see who can play their pace and set the tone when they play that game in the Garden. So if that's on Saturday, I'm going to definitely make sure I have my eyes on the TV to see what happens with that.
Yeah, that's going to be very interesting. I mean, come on now. You can't get past an opportunity to put between Bronx and Queens coming together in the college basketball landscape. You can't miss that.
No.
You can't get past that. And I even interviewed some players from the women's side, Big East Media Day, both Villanova players, Lucy and Christina Dowsey, talk about, she was saying how, wait a minute, we played at the Garden since when? Like, seriously. It's kind of rare for women to play at the Garden. I mean, seriously. We haven't had women basketball this hype since the Liberty left there in 2017.
Well, this is a good opportunity for the college girls. And they got them hooping out there too. That's it. Absorb the opportunity and play tough and go through it. That's pretty dope. And like you said, anybody would love to play in the world's most famous arena.
It's a dream come true. Mm-hmm. It's like it's a dream come true for you to go to games in the world's most famous arena with the right plugs.
Absolutely.
So yeah, there's that. Now we transition to another topic this week. As earlier in the last episode or a few episodes ago, I've had this girl named Allie Snow, who's a social media specialist for ESPN, and we was talking about Angel Reese's antics. Not too long ago, she came back after missing 4 games due to personal reasons. And this is what we talked about. This is what we talked about in her appearance on the show, if you haven't seen it already. If you're Angel Reese, would you come back another year just to improve your draft stock?
I would come back another year. Angel has been going through a lot this whole year. The whole past year, from the Final Four last year, people been on her. What was it, 2 weeks she was gone? 2 or 3 weeks? There's people talking, people questioning her. And if you look at her right now, that girl is making money too.
Tell me about it. She's on Sports Illustrated covers. I mean, she's getting bashed for doing game signs at a championship win against Caitlin Clark's Iowa or Hawkeyes last year. I mean, come on. This is literally the year of Angel Reese. What did Ari say about backing off Angel Reese?
That's why I'm like, okay, this girl can come back another year, improve her draft stock, get it up to top 5. Because to be honest, I'm not gonna cap. There is a lot of Rakia Jackson, there's players that I would put ahead of her. But I think she should come back another year, go ahead and get her bag right now, and then think draft. So I don't know, but this is also look at the class. This class is crazy. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, so this is a little.
I was listening to the background music.
If you guys, but hopefully the vocals are a lot louder than the background music, because we had a serious in-depth conversation about Angel Reese's year in 2023, and then we also talked about the WNBA draft. Now that it's already decided, Indiana Fever will draft number 1, the Sparks will draft number 2, the Mercury will draft number 3, and the Seattle Storm will draft number 4. So, yeah. Angel Reese is projected to be drafted anywhere between 8 and 10 if she declares for the draft this year. Do you think that Angel Reese should come back and play the eligible year that she has left on the NIL deal.
What, should be a senior?
Yeah, this would have been her last year, but she's eligible for an NIL year or something like that. She has an NIL deal and she's eligible to come back for the 2025 season as well. So do you agree with Allie Snow when she said she should come back another year to improve her draft stock?
Yeah, I thought, you know what? Being that she can get a little coins in the NIL deal, still not, yeah, she might as well. That was more actually better for her. Continue the NIL deal, add on and work to get your degree, still get the degree, and play another year of ball. And like you said, the WNBA is still going to be there, and she'll still be a top, tier to 20 something pick in the WNBA draft, way lower. And you just that's the best way to map the plan out for that one there.
Yep, that is the best way for her. I mean, come on, look at the year that Angel Reese had. Months ago, we were just talking about how the media treated her after she won a national championship, like she didn't win a national championship.
Correct.
Now she comes into the press conference after missing 4 games just to say, I'm an athlete, I'm human, I'm going through things. It is what it is.
Yeah,
and
that was a crazy scenario.
Coach is just keeping it private. So, yeah, that's pretty much the year of Angel Reese right there. All right, that wraps up this episode of Nothing But That Sports Talk. Thank you for stopping by, Ryan Walker. And yeah, for Rafiq Louison, Ryan Walker, we'll see you next time.